Welcome. And as a wise man once said, I got one more in me. We thought it was the last MMP episode. Some things have transpired that have now forced us to do one more. So here we are.
The last one. Nah, it is for sure.
It is for
The
sure.
last
Okay.
MMP.
He said
For
it.
sure.
It's official now.
Yep.
So today we are discussing, because we want to end off on a Marvel video, right? This is what we want to do. We gotta. So what better way to leave off than, well, I guess, and then the last one, but then the current state of Marvel as it stands at this very moment, after having watched Ant-Man Quantumania and then more recently Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Josh, because I feel like there's going to be some...
I mean, we have some conflicting views. I already know that. But I mean, it's just so wild how different the last two films could be perceived. And also, like, it's also difference in terms of the impact of the MCU. Like, Guardians, the only impact that we got out of the third Guardians movie was that the Guardians basically disbanded, you know what I mean? Or separate into a different group now. And then that Star-Lord will return. That was the only impact to the MCU that we got. And that Star-Lord is on Earth now. Which, I mean, that's kind of how they did, you know, the OG Marvel films. That's how kind of the original impact of the MCU was for first films of starting new phases. So it's not a surprise, you know, you follow that pattern and ended up being a great movie that everybody loved. Then Ant-Man 3, a lot of hits and a lot of misses throughout that film. Of course, my state on that is it's got me shaking on Kang. You know, ignore the whole drama with the actor and the off-camera issues, not issues. You know, I still don't even know what's actually happening or not with that. It's more of I'm shaking at the character as a whole, you know, especially after Loki, you know, their prized possession show, it seems like, that Disney absolutely loves and adores, hyped up Kang the Conqueror so much. And then he comes into Ant-Man, and I think the only person he killed in Ant-Man, which is not saying that a villain has to kill people, but just to put in perspective, like there's only 2 times that he actually did anything menacingly where like, okay, I could fear this guy. And that was, he killed like the hammer, kind of like laser dude, which was kind of a dope death. And then, you know, beat up Ant-Man at the very end. Other than that, I mean, he got his ass handed to him throughout this film. He was bested by so many people. And then it was kind of like, okay, well, this guy just lost to the Ant-Man squad. You know, how is he an Avengers level threat? You know what I mean? I know it's kind of cheesy to say that, but how is he an Avengers level threat? Especially after being hyped so much and also hitting up with the hard line in Loki saying, like, see you soon, or, you know, see you again. And then this happens. So, you know, it leaves me wondering, especially with James Gunn, them losing another director of the MCU series, of actually making great movies. The Russo brothers not really ever going to return. You know, it seems like they keep dropping their great directors one by one. So it makes you kind of wonder, how are these future films going to do, especially, you know, which we'll get into about the future projects, but Marvel's trailer, you know, looking like a bit of a yikes, in my opinion. Even though I was hyped for that film, I was like, damn. You know what I mean? It feels like it might be the new pattern is one is going to be like such a hit and miss throughout the entire film that you're going to leave that film being like, why do I still watch Marvel? And then the other one being so good, they're like, okay, I guess I still got to keep watching these. I still got to be invested. And the one that's coming up is Secret Invasion. You know what I mean? So that's kind of just a little summary of how I'm feeling. You know, how are you feeling?
You know, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of there with you. You know, maybe not 100%, but it's mainly I can't even like lie about it. I can't put like anything fake on. Like, seriously, the only reason that I still cling on to these is because of what's come before it, and the name that it's just like brought up and it's made into this big worldwide phenomenon, and then it's just now it's we've been hit with a few bad ones, Thor.
Yeah.
That one was really bad. I think like that one specifically was one where you just like that was soul crushing. Eternals was fine. Like there's nothing wrong with pretty much any other ones other than Thor. Maybe there was some issues in Quantumania. Again, this is me like trying to cling on to the good stuff and not really look at the bad stuff here. I tend to like see those things more than I tend to lean into the negatives. I mean, but when it's a straight up bad movie, I'm not gonna say it's the greatest thing ever, or there's, it's not that bad. Thor: Love and Thunder is pretty fucking bad. Okay, Quantumania, there's good things in it. I can't deny the fact that when you're stating all of these things that Kang really didn't do much of like conquering or killing anything, and it's like my only rebuttal to that, and then I think Blake and I have also like texted you this after you gave us your very out of nowhere response,
first reaction
to the movie, was that like, damn dude, like I am not like looking forward to Kang anymore, and I'm just like, okay, relax. One, the actor is really good. He's fantastic. Physically speaking, he fits that type of role. What I feel like fucked over this character was the writing. Big theme of the last video, by the way, but here we are again. The writing just did not work for him. There's a difference between the writing. I think it was, I can't remember those two writers that wrote Infinity War and Endgame, but I mean there's a reason why those movies did like the villain so good, especially Infinity War, considering it was his movie. And in some cases, Kang Dynasty is going to be Kang's movie, it seems like, and I'm not too certain what's going on with the writing, because I think that's at one point, they had a writer. Now he's not writing it anymore. So it's kind of on that same track where Marvel has been dropping all of their talent, and then
the writer's strike now,
and the writer's strike, and bringing in other people that they're gonna take a chance on, and it's just not been working out, and it's just quite unfortunate, because Kang is like, the potential for that character is there. It's just you gotta give him more to do. It's quite unfortunate. That one death that you mentioned, the guy that shoots like the energy beam from his eye or face or whatever, that was a cool death. But he didn't really have a lot of like I'm him moments. Like that's kind of what I'm like looking for in terms
exactly
of
as the intro.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like, here I am, and I'm about to fuck shit up. Like, but here's the issue. We were just told this. We were told, oh, the exiled one, and like he never showed anything. Like, yeah, he had his like powers. He was fighting off ants, but at some point they overwhelmed him. Fine, but like, give him more to do. That is just unfortunate. Like, it's.
Also, it was like, it was on his home court, and that's what another thing. It was like, okay, like, I get it was though in a way, he has his own base. He's been there for a while in terms of time. And even in that own little universe, he was feared. He's feared by all the other Kangs. And then as well as just the fact that the Kang that won in Loki was knowing that what was to come and was fearful, not really, I guess, fearful to come, but he knew that he had to die there because of Kang the Conqueror. Okay, this man is literally controlling time itself, is the one that's saying, dude, this guy is evil. He's that vicious. And then we get the first appearance of him, and he loses to the Ant-Man squad. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, Ant-Man's great, but still, though, it's like, I mean, Loki fought the Avengers. You know what I mean? It's almost like Loki got a better fight than Kang did. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of hard when you put those things into perspective of, damn, I mean, they really kind of did him wrong. And then they had to have Ant-Man win. Otherwise, it's like, okay, are you just going to kill him off here at this awkward moment? You know, it wouldn't have been a satisfying death for the character, so they couldn't kill him off. But then at the same time, like, they needed Kang to look badass, and it did not work. None of it worked. So was another thing that threw me off in that film was not to make an Ant-Man review, but the main leader of the revolution or whatnot, it's just being from the girl from Mandalorian,
yeah.
The officer, and then she's like totally ripped and jacked. That's so weird. That's what threw me off, you know. But
that's what threw you off. Nice.
Yeah,
not all the weird shit that's in the quantum realm. No, that's what threw you off.
No, yeah, because I just know she's like a normal just spy officer, and then hearing this one, she's a jacked revolutionary.
No, yeah, I can't, argue against you on any of your points. Honestly, I think it would have benefited them if they just did not put Kang in this movie. To be honest with you, just give us a different villain, because what worked so well with Thanos was that he wasn't really in any of the other movies. He only had like brief little like cameos. Like, he didn't do anything. He was just kind of like speaking, or at the end credits. In Guardians, he just he was in his chair. He wasn't doing anything. So like that just builds anticipation for his big moment, which became Infinity War. And you're like, okay, well, this is clearly his movie. This is what he's gonna do. And yeah, I honestly believe that their choice to put Kang, especially in an Ant-Man movie, again, no disrespect to Ant-Man, he's a dope-ass character, but you're having the pinnacle, like the main bad guy of this saga, face off against Ant-Man. You're kind of writing yourself into a corner here. Either you're gonna make Kang look like a bitch, or you're gonna make Ant-Man look like fucking God. Like there's no in between here.
Exactly.
And
yeah,
they tried their best, but at the same time, it wasn't enough, to be honest with you. Like, it was a dope movie, it was fun, but there's a difference between a fun movie and like a great, fantastic film, and that it just it definitely dropped the ball on that.
Yeah. As well as now we have to wonder once again, when is Kang gonna return and reappear? You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, cool. We already were getting hyped towards Kang. Loki, that was the entire point of the show, was the setup of Kang. And now we're gonna go through another setup again, it feels like, because he's gone again. So we got him for felt like 30 seconds. Was not great. Then he's gone again. And it's like, okay, cool. I mean, what I think they maybe should have done is just have it been an Ant-Man movie exploring the quantum realm with, grandma, and see what was really going down. They get sucked in. They don't know why they get sucked in. And then Kang used them getting sucked in to escape. And then that being the plot line of, that's all we know about Kang, was that, grandma's kind of slowly giving her lore about how, she actually did meet Kang, and she trapped him down here, and that's why she was freaking out. And then when they actually got sucked in because of Cassie, then that's kind of how Kang escaped, as well as that could have been the beacon that was getting sent out in Shang-Chi, which that didn't get referenced whatsoever, which was something we were expecting. At least I was going into that film. So another point of State of Marvel, where these one-off films that were some fans really love, like Eternals. I really like that. And Shang-Chi, amazing film. Just nothing since. Not even a reference, which is uncharacteristic of the past Marvel movies, where you would at least get some background knowledge in the going in, or some sort of small reference to at least establish this film is still canon. And I think they really have to do this now when there's so many movies and projects going on. You got to establish that you didn't just give up on this project, because Eternals feels like they just gave up on it. And would any of us be surprised if they did? You know what I mean?
I mean,
and
they're good characters. It's just, for some reason,
yeah, you're setting up, the Celestials, and then Kang is also supposed to be part of the story. It was like such a weird timing. But they could have explored that storyline more if they had Kang not fully appear in this Ant-Man movie. But now he's gone again. So of course we're gonna just want him and not have to go through this same weird process again of waiting for him. And now it feels like, for me, Loki season 2 is probably gonna get impacted the worst from this Ant-Man film. It's probably not even gonna have Kang the Conqueror at all in that film whatsoever. It's just gonna be all the different little Kang variants and goofy moments with that. That's probably all that show's gonna end up being, which sucks, because that could have been a serious film where you reintroduce Loki and he's the one that warns our MCU characters of saying, hey, he's coming. He's the one that actually knows everything, and that would make Loki season 1 a lot more relevant, even better for the ones that didn't like it, because I know both you and Blake were iffy a bit on it. That would make it so much better if you made it more serious, where Loki has a reason for him learning all this knowledge, because he's seen all versions of the King now, especially if seeing the one that won. That would help. But now it's just probably going to be almost like a goofy show where they're just going to be exploring a different version of Kings, and that's it.
Did you expect anything else, really? This is why we're like talking about this, because it is in that little kind of state where it's like, what are you doing? It's like you guys had a template before, and you guys are just doing like the most weird and out of pocket shit, and it's just like, why? Like you had a formula, and you're just doing something different just to be different. Like it clearly hasn't worked. Like, look what, like, the one I would say since Endgame, and maybe even like No Way Home. So I'm gonna put it after No Way Home. Anything after that, the one film that has felt like its predecessors is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, because you kept the same nucleus, you kept the same feeling, the same tone, the same everything, the same, to a certain extent, a formula that you're basing off every single film and every single script and every single story. And guess what? It's probably the best one since then. Because you didn't do anything so odd and so out of left field. Because you kept it familiar by sticking to what you do best. Just make a good story. I don't understand. It would, which, if you think about, it's about a fucking talking raccoon, a tree that says "I am Groot," and a ragtag group that's in fucking space, and that somehow felt the most grounded out of the last 2 or 3 movies, some of which took place here on fucking Earth. I mean, it's kind of a yikes. I'm not gonna lie. But Loki, Shang-Chi. structure. It's just not. It's not there at the moment. I mean, it's just straight out isn't. I mean, it's fine if you have a movie that doesn't have to do with any of the thing that's going on, just for the sake of finishing a story that you started like long ago and you're trying to wrap it up, aka Guardians of the Galaxy. That's fine. You don't need to do it, but if you're going to do it correctly. Like, and you title your movies like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Ant-Man Quantumania. Guess what? You have Kang, who in this movie, who's dealing with the multiverse. You have Doctor Strange, literally titled Multiverse of Madness. You would think that there'd be some sort of, because this movie came out first, there's some sort of thing that happens in this movie that affects this one. You just don't get it, and it's just mind-boggling because you're like, or 6 hours if you're doing a show. Like I said, for Secret Invasion, just based off of the trailers, I am not worried about it. It seems like they know what it is, and it's not trying to be anything that is not. And that's what we need right now. Kind of reestablish yourself and like build yourself back up, because you guys are, at the moment, before Guardians, you guys were kind of in shambles. You guys didn't know what you wanted to do. So having these projects come out, fine, good. I like it. I am all in on a Nick Fury espionage with like government infiltration, because you don't know who's a squirrel,
Mm-hmm.
who's not. Perfect. I'll be there. Okay, day one, I'm there. The Marvels, though, it's kind of one of those things where it's just like, what are you trying to be here? Because you're having three characters that one had her solo movie, one was a part of a show that wasn't even her show. It was Wanda's
Mm-hmm.
show, who she's just a side character, and then Miss Marvel, who had her own little show, and then at the end connected to Miss Marvel, obviously because she idolizes her as her hero. But other than that last post credit scene, like, what are we doing here? Like, are we just putting these people together just for the sake of it, just because they just so happen to be Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and some other, I think it's Photon, who has similar powers, just for the sake of it?
Mm-hmm.
Or it's like because you actually have something that you're trying to do and tell a story and set up at the end? It doesn't seem that way. It just seems like they're kind of just doing it just to do it, and that never seems to pan out. I am happy to see that these actresses are getting their chance to do it again, especially Brie Larson, because her first film is not god awful, but it's not great. There's not good really. It's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of meh. So I was hoping that they would have better writers and some sort of better direction this time around, and it just seems like you know make her the babysitter and have her babysit these two guys who haven't really ever done superhero stuff.
Yeah.
Like Miss Marvel is just starting, and Monica is helping out Nick Fury, so she's not even really like being a hero in that sense. So it's like, You know, fantastic. Good for you, Captain Marvel. You're being demoted to
Yeah,
chaperone. So
yeah, you're a side character in your own movie. You're kind of getting a Captain America Civil War movie when you haven't even had your second film yet.
yeah, pretty much,
You know,
pretty much.
um,
But I don't
yeah,
see it going well.
I
Unfortunately, I mean,
totally agree.
will it be parts of it that'll be cool? Obviously, I mean, every movie so far, I think, has had a moment or several moments.
Hmm.
Um, some more than others, but will it be a good movie overall? I mean, I hope. Again, I'm gonna be
Yeah,
optimistic always. I'm gonna go into every project hoping that it's good, but I'm also, a realist. When it's bad, it's bad. So,
yeah,
which
and
is
I mean,
unfortunate.
inherently, all the characters by themselves, um, in that Marvel's movie, I've liked or have grown to like. Like in Miss Marvel on a show, I didn't dislike her. In fact, actually, Miss Marvel got me excited for this movie, which was to my surprise. And of course, and then Monica, I thought was great in Wanda Vision, and but it's like we've talked about this plenty of times. Is they're almost giving us too much of these kind of almost feels like one-off ish funny family movies when we need more of the serious in a row, then we can have that funny, goofy Thor Ragnarok film. Like, that's the only reason why that movie hit as hard as it did. I mean, if you released Thor Ragnarok, which, I mean, they kind of did. Thor 4 was Thor Ragnarok again, but where we haven't had that serious films in a row. I mean, it was our comic relief before Thanos just absolutely kills our favorite characters. That's what that was. That's why it worked. That's how comic relief works. We keep getting all these just funny, go movies, which that's what Marvel's really looks like when we kind of want to explore Captain Marvel a little more. She definitely struggled a lot with awful writing. Also was placed at such a weird time where people were so attached to the OG Avengers, made her seem like a total dick. When then she just comes in and being like, yeah, actually I'm more powerful than all of you guys. When, yeah, that is true. But then when you're already attached to these characters that are kind of the leaders of the group, you kind of just don't give a damn about this character coming in that is so powerful, even though she is a absolute main character in the comics. Just the comics aren't the movies. And then now we finally get our second film with her where we're excited because we also know Secret Invasion's coming out, and that was started just because of her original film being a serious film, which that's going to help that film out. Now we're just going to get a funny, she's kind of a side character, and she's going to have to awkwardly play a different role now of where she's going to be funny. And she once again is probably going to be perceived as awkward, like how I felt she was in the first film. I felt in her first film she was super awkward. Then I felt in like all the Avenger movies, any movies after that was just a dick from the writing for her. And then now she's going to be like an awkward, funny type that's going to come off as cringed more than funny. And that's just not at all Brie Larson at fault, nor Captain Marvel character alone. They're just fucking up.
Yeah, and when you said that, it totally makes sense. They're trying to make every movie the same. In a sense, they're trying to really
Yeah.
force this, like, oh, bring the whole family to this movie. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have laughs, we're gonna have big action sequences, and that's about it. There's not much substance to it. Is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to say here, is that it's lacking substance. It's lacking that serious, under, like, the serious tone of, this is where the character is at the beginning of the movie, this is what happens throughout the film, and this is what how it finishes, or how it wraps up their story within this film. And yeah, to some extent, opens up new doors for what's to come in the future. Now, it, like I said, it's, Martin Scorsese said, they're carnival rides. I think Marvel heard that and they decided to really embrace that part, and it's just not, it's
Mm-hmm.
not it, you know. It's what makes the other ones so good is that you have those a plan, you have a beginning, middle, and end, and you're sprinkling in humor and comic relief here and there. You're not oversaturating it, and that's the main issue here, is that you're trying to make everyone funny, you're trying to make everyone feel like a carbon copy of one another, when in reality they're all unique characters, you know, with
Mm-hmm.
different abilities, with different backgrounds, with different stories, with different everything. And you know, they're kind of just melding together, and you know, hey, for a moment there, all of the young Avengers that they were setting up felt like the same kind of characters. Apparently they didn't know how to write them differently than one another, even though they're completely different characters.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's looking like it's bleeding into the main characters. They're all making
Mm-hmm.
them very similar, and it's just not it. And here's hoping that they've noticed. I mean, they have to have noticed. I mean, like Thor: Love and Thunder did not do good at all. Quantumania underperformed significantly, especially with
And
how hyped it
actually,
was.
I saw, I mean, Ant-Man 3 got decent reviews when it came out, but then actually I found that when it's come out to Disney Plus, people have rewatched it, and that's actually worsened its perception of it, as what I've seen a lot. And it's like, okay, now you're even kind of tanking with your own releases to Disney Plus. You know, let's see what happens.
Yeah, but Secret Invasion
Mm-hmm.
looks good though.
Nope,
Sad for that one.
does.
Sad for that one. Definitely gives me
Yeah,
Winter
I guess
Soldier
just
vibes.
my final thoughts really is just Kang already was going to be tough to introduce. How do you top Thanos, basically, right? How do you top a villain that actually had a movie where we seen a villain win for once? I mean, that's rare alone in movies. And then two, how do you have a villain where the Avengers could realistically beat him? You know, if he's supposed to be stronger, better, smarter, everything better than Thanos. Well, Thanos won already once and just lost the second time. Okay, how do you get it where the Avengers actually beat Kang? Because they're going to have to if they want to continue it, unless because we both know Kang's not going to be the last guy that they're going to finish on. So
Especially
how
with some
how are they going to
villains
how are they
still
going
in
to
the
do it?
bag.
Yeah. So that I think that's what makes Kang just even harder to accept that, you know, he tanked his first appearance. Also, it's already something so hard. Like I get it. It's hard for them to bring him in here. And how are you going to top Thanos, but also make him where he's not so overpowered that the new Avenger squad, which majority of them are young members, also not even being as powerful as the previous Avenger squad. Besides, I guess Captain Marvel being more of a lead this time around. You know, how are they going to beat Kang?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably just say this is that, you know, I love Marvel. I still continue to hold out hope for it. You know, movies like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 remind me of why I've gone to every single movie, no matter what. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's just looking into the future. It's being hopeful and optimistic, but at the same time cautious and realistic, in that they're not going to all be, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, or even like Spider-Man No Way Home.
Absolute bangers, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you know, it's unfortunate because they've made them. There's literally like 40 something projects, and like I'd say a good third, a good 15, 20-ish of them are really good. Yeah, so some of them are kind of okay, and there's a select few that are just bad. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you have that. Like, look at those and don't do that. Like, you have your template.
Yeah.
Just stick to those, you know? Yeah, but it's just it's weird. I'll just say it. You know, we're kind of in a weird state in Marvel because shit, we're fucking changing our name. I don't know if it's like 100% the reason why. It definitely is time to change anyways.
It's a part.
But you know,
Mm-hmm.
again, hopeful, optimistic, but at the same time reserved and cautious because God, they are capable of putting out some stinkers. Unfortunately.
Yeah, well said. And the writer's strike, I think, just makes it scarier.
Facts. That's gonna be a whole other episode.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe under the new name.
And
Maybe with our
we did in 5 years we'll be talking about the writer's strike of 2023 impact on movies.
For real. All right, well, I think that'll wrap up this video. It was not as cheerful, you know, as we usually like it to be, because unfortunately the topic itself is not that cheerful at the current state. But either way, what are your thoughts on the Marvel state of the cinematic universe at the moment? Leave it down below in the comments. Are you guys looking forward to Secret Invasion? Let us know down below. And yeah, just say leave a like on the video, subscribe if you guys haven't already, and we'll see you guys in the next one.